How is everyone doing today? Today we're doing an episode of Transformation Time. I love transformation time. As a lot of you real estate investors that have been in it, we really start realizing how important our mindsets are and the changes we make are. So the personal development changes we make in ourselves to be able to achieve the goals and whatever it is our goals that we want to achieve. So today we're doing transformation time. Our guest speakers, they're going to be sharing us their journey, their personal development journey, and their mindset shifts they've gone through to get to where they are today. So I'm so excited, and I believe they're on. So let me invite. Here we go. Should be coming on in a minute. Awesome. And of course, my head gets cut off. Hey!
Hi! How are you, Dinah?
Good. How are you, Camesha and Rovonn? Thanks for coming on. Sorry, I'm like trying to not have my head cut off.
Oh, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Like I said, like transformation time is like I love this episode, this show, I mean, because it's just so much fun to learn people's journeys, right? And to learn off of people's journeys and realize that we're all normal people, we're really just trying to take those small steps forward to get to places. And so it's just like excited to hear your guys' journey.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. And we've taken some time to go through some of your past guests, and we are just so impressed about with the stories that come alive through your Instagram lives.
Awesome. Thank you. So let's start with just first telling everyone where you're at right now. So just what is your guys' strategy and whatever you'd like to share about where you are in your real estate and entrepreneur journey.
Awesome. So yeah, you go first.
So right now we currently are focusing in New Brunswick and Hamilton. New Brunswick, we have 5 doors in New Brunswick. And in Hamilton, we're working on some deals right now, some larger deals. I don't know if we'll go into details on that. But yeah, we pretty much started to get serious beginning of this year. We had properties before just as, just regular regular people saying okay, I gotta get a house, we want to get a pre-construction, etc. But in terms of investing, we really got serious this year and closed on a 5-plex in New Brunswick, and then are continuing to get off-market deals and presenting that to working with other investors to kind of do joint ventureships to get more properties.
And we've been really focusing on networking is our bread and butter. We love people. We love jumping on calls, developing relationships, and really utilizing the relationships that we have to grow exponentially. So I'm a teacher by trade. I teach elementary phys ed. And he runs his own video production company. So it's actually been just a beautiful transition of Rovonn being able to add his creative element to our Instagram page with our videos, and even as we create before and after photos of our units, he's really making them look great.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's how we kind of see ourselves as kind of not different, but just doing something else aside. Really documenting our journey and our properties from before and after, so we're able to show people that we work with really on what the stages look like, visually seeing the differences that we make in our properties. And I know you asked about what we focus on, and we focused on BRRRR properties or the BRRRR strategy. Taking a property that needs some love, and doing rentals on it, raising the rents, and then getting tenants and then refinancing. So that's currently our strategy. And then in Hamilton, we're also
in Hamilton we're dabbling with. I think I was sharing this with you before. We're dabbling with some conversion projects from commercial to residential. In Hamilton, there's just a huge need for residential spaces, units, and yeah, we've been finding some awesome opportunities that we're just kind of going through the due diligence now. But basically taking an empty office building that now people are working from home and kind of turning that into units.
That's awesome. So let's jump from the beginning. I'm very curious because you were saying like you guys just got really serious this year at the beginning of this year. So what was that thing that made you guys just want to start taking it serious and or what was that pivoting moment for you guys that was just like this is where you guys want to go?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think for both of us, we at the beginning of the year we do our goals together, and like we love dreaming out what we want the future to look like. We're big like goals people, and on our goals, we really wanted to start a family. And both Rovonn and I, we come from immigrant households. And I know for my parents, like they worked so hard to make sure myself and my other two siblings had all the things. But in turn, they weren't present. Like my dad had like 3 jobs. My mom was a full-time nurse. And when we started reflecting on the type of parents that we want to be, it became very evident to us that we would need second, third, fourth form of passive income coming in to allow for that opportunity for I really want to be a stay-at-home mom and to provide that freedom to be able to be at the soccer games and walk our children to school or just be present, have a healthy meal ready when they come home. Because the way I'm tired after a school day of like giving all my energy to other people's children, I can't I just couldn't imagine coming home and then putting on a mom hat and then kind of doing the mom dance for
I
the
hear
day.
you. Actually, it's funny. I have a friend where both the parents were teachers. And that's funny you say that. It was the same thing because they had 2 kids. They felt like they were neglecting their kids. So one of them went into like being a principal or something like not teaching, I think a principal. And the other one went into just like a different sector in the government, but helping like related to children because they felt guilty, right? They were just like, we put all our effort on these kids and we get home and we're just burnt out and you're just kind of like you feel terrible. So that's very interesting you say that because it is. Yeah, kids are great. They like suck your energy in. We don't have as much energy as they do, right? So they're just like draining us out.
Mhm.
Completely,
Yeah.
completely. And
Mhm.
like your job provides
And
you.
like, well, so in my job, kind of seeing that, hey, this could kind of work, or me being, I own my own company, so I have the flexibility. So whether that's means like different work in real estate, where it's like a Wednesday in the daytime, I can do walkthroughs, I can do, monitor renovations that are being done, etc. I have more flexibility, and then also even with my job, I love what I do, but at the time when we're kind of reflecting on what the future looks like, um, I don't always want to have to do every job for the money, right? Sometimes I want to be able to do creative stuff, doing short films and stuff. Documentaries are gonna go on film festivals, but maybe for the last while, it's been like, hey, I gotta like do all the top shelf jobs, all the the big company jobs. So just to mix it up, so I don't have to always be working as hard I've been. So just having that flexibility, that income coming in, that freedom, and yeah, like the same thing. Just having the time. I feel like with my parents, they got married at 20 and 21, and like eloped and everything, and then basically still as kids had me the year after, and they're like, they couldn't think about anything like, well, real estate. What's real estate? We have to work jobs and stuff like that. Work at the airport, and my mom she did all these different jobs before she went back to school, just to take care of us, right? So they wasn't in their horizon about real estate, and we feel like we want to be able to educate and show people from those situations or from those communities that it is possible. Because growing up, I'm like, even just mortgages, I was like, mortgage, that I wouldn't be owning a house until late 30s, almost 40, coming from where I came from, right? It was all like, oh, just rent, etc. Maybe later
Or
down the
just
road.
the fear, I think, of the debt, right? Like,
Right,
oh my God, that much debt. Like, it
right.
sounds very scary, right? You're just,
Yeah.
especially like that when we don't know anything about like mortgages or you look at the price of
Mhm.
houses. It's a very scary concept, isn't it? When you don't
Yeah.
really know anything
When we
about
don't
it.
know. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it is. It is.
it is. Yeah. And especially culturally too, what we're taught is to, hold on to money. Like money, you don't think of giving your money to then get money back.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Um,
it's very true. Like that, even with me, like when I got my first house, the struggle and the engine for me, because I'm an engineer, like I actually calculated how much money would go to the bank and how much money like my house would actually cost, and that
Right.
messed with me. Like I was just like, it was like social, like I was messed up, and I was just like, I'm doing what? I'm paying the bank what to do what and what?
That's
oh,
hilarious.
that's so true.
I feel like
That's
I'm a math guy, but I feel like I didn't actually like go through exactly like, hey, how much the bank is making off this versus how much is going to our principal. So yeah.
don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't do it, people. It messes you up.
It's a setup. Yeah,
So,
don't do it.
But so since you guys didn't have the influence of like your family, doing real estate, how did you guys then where did your influence come from? Like which kind of people got you, not what kind of people, like who got you into like being like, you know, what's real estate and like why I should invest and even convincing? Because like you said, like we come with like different mindsets of like what real estate is and certain mentalities, right? Like I would say, which is I think you're saying the same thing. Like I had the GTA mentality when it came to buying houses, right? Like appreciation. Like I never thought
Yeah.
about cash flow, right? Like
Yeah.
for you guys, like where did you guys get the influence of thinking like let's buy a house and
Yeah.
or let's even invest, like let's have rental properties.
mhm.
Hmm. I think so. For me, I did have a different childhood. I think my parents were very much like you need to own a home, and they were very much like you need to own a home before you get like married. Like no man is gonna like support you, and like if a woman, um,
Independence, as a woman especially.
I know. So my dad like drilled it into my mind. And my dad was a pre-construction like beast. We just kind of went from one pre-construction to the next. So I always knew I needed to get property, and I lived overseas for about 7 years, and probably like 5 months into returning home, I purchased like a condo by myself. Um, and I think that was like seeing like whoa, like how much how much the condo is being worth now, like in the background. But we had the traditional mindset. But what was the catalyst? The real catalyst was I was on a casual Zoom conversation. I had ran a Black affinity group for the educators at my school district, and we were having a debrief with the guest speaker and then the friend and I that co-host the affinity space. And just casually, like the three of us were just talking and debriefing about how the event went. And then my co-host, she said something like, "Oh, give me 1 second. It's my realtor." And then she like talks like I could see her because we're on a Zoom call. And then she comes back, and I was like, "Oh, you're a realtor? Like you're purchasing a place?" And she's like, "Oh, um, kind of." She's like, "Yeah, it's just my rental property." And I was like, rental property? I'm like, okay, you go, girl. And she's like, yeah. She's like, yeah. This is our fourth one in Welland. And I was like, wait, fourth property in Welland?
Like, you're like, that's even possible?
I know. And yeah, I was like, is that even possible? And she's a part-time teacher. So I was like, wait, what's going on? And she said, yeah, because I'm part-time. She's like, I don't have a pension, so I'm creating my pension. And I was like, whoa, stop right there. And
Like, what are you telling me right now?
yeah, we spoke for about an hour and a half, and like literally, like that was it. Like I feel like I became obsessed with Like,
Yeah. Okay, so-
like literally from that day, I told
Oh,
her,
I hear
like,
you. Talking all the time about real estate, right?
even
we'll start our
Ron-
conversation.
Roman's probably like, please, can we talk about something else?
No, we'll start our conversation about like, oh, like how's your day? Yeah, whatever. There. Yeah, yeah, your grandma's this. Yeah, yeah. Did you see the property yet? And then that takes over. Like it's it takes over the
And
conversation.
have you gotten to the point where you guys are driving and then all of a sudden you'll be like, oh my God, did you see that house? The house has
Yeah,
like no windows.
like who owns that actually?
Do you see
That's
that
not
roof? They haven't done the roof yet.
I know, or look at those windows. Or like, you know, we
just
come
things
in.
you'll never think, and even like, wait, that place doesn't look too good. I wonder if they would want to sell off the market.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like before it was like, oh my gosh, why they don't take care of their house? Now it's like, ooh, opportunity. So it's like,
Yeah.
you know, it's like it's a different, like, you know, a mindset. It's a different mindset. Different way.
It is. It's so funny. And
But
it's like when my husband will be driving and I'll do a, and I won't even say anything. I'm just like trying to look at that house. And then he's like, did you just see something? Do we need to make a turn? I'm like, kind of.
It's so funny. Like we can remember the day, the time, like the exact moment when it all happened.
Mhm.
That's awesome. So, since you guys are doing this as a couple, I'm so curious to hear about like what kind of like how do you guys complement each other? Like, what do each of you guys do? Because I'm like that. I normally assume that couples are so different, right? So it's like it would just kind of like nice because you also make yourselves like power teams, right? Because normally one person's weakness is another person's strength, and vice versa, right? So I'm curious on what your guys' dynamic is when you're working together.
Yeah, so I would say me, we're, you know, extrovert and introvert. With me, I'm pretty analytic and I'm a math guy, right? So I pretty much, you know, I pretty much analyze the deals, acquisition. Um, she's like,
Budget.
oh my gosh, look at this deal. Looks great. What do you think? I'm like, number, calculate, whatever.
2 hours later.
This is, or I'll even be able to tell her like, oh, this is how much it should be worth based on their monthly income and this, that, all this, just all this stuff, right? So I'm the math guy for all of that, and just being an introvert, and like you said, what complimenting, um, being on the phone, like just talking to people all day, like it drains me to like be like consistently talking to people all the time. So that's where someone like her, where she gets energy from talking to people, that she uses it
Mhm.
kind of more work, like the, you know, a lot of the networking and the relationships and etc. So
I feel like we complement each other really well. Like all the areas that I lack are things that Rovonn excels in. And and the things that I excel in, like he's just not a fan of. So it's actually a pretty sweet opportunity. Oh, Sarah. So nice. And I
That's
think
awesome.
you are similar with your husband, right? But opposite.
Yeah. I'm the introvert, yeah. So I totally understand you. I'm a person, for example, like that. I think I've slowly built up the tolerance, but I could do like one meeting in a day. And like I said, like I would do meetings at work, but for some reason meetings at work are different because like meetings when you're like chatting with someone are so draining to me. So I used to be able to do like one a day and I'm like, I need like a 1 hour break and recuperation, like battery drained. And like now I need to go into recharge mode, you know? Whereas now I can at least do 3 meetings a day.
yeah,
I love it,
I
and I
know.
love like in
And I
the
remember we were chatting about it, right? Because I was just saying, like, for us as introverts, it's like we need to have our batteries filled,
Right,
right?
right.
And then it depletes by the end of whatever we're doing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas introverts are like battery empty. You take them to an event and they're like flying in the sky at the end of the night, and we're like ready to go home. We're like, what are you doing? Like,
Right.
time for bed. I don't know.
I know.
Yeah.
Exactly. You can relate. And it sounds like just reading through the comments too. I think it was lovers and landlords. Oh, love them. They were saying I feel like a lot of couples operate that way.
Mhm.
Find great success in complementing
Right.
each other. Yeah, we've really been intentional because this is our second business that we run together. Um, also run a wedding live stream company, Dream Streams, and um, we've been super intentional on making sure that our working environment doesn't jeopardize our marriage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's parts that we've kind of learned before getting into real estate together, of how we kind of work. When it's like crunch time, I'm really like, whatever, and then I have to slowly remind, like, hey, my wife's here, invite her, what you're doing. Like, you know what I mean? It's not, she's here too. And even as a videographer, you know, I've always, a lot of the time, worked on my own, right? So it's like, I got to take care of everything, I do everything myself. But then even in that industry, you know, I'm having more of a team now and stuff like that. So those are things that I have to learn along the way. But we've been able to kind of work that. So then doing real estate together has been pretty, not easy, but just a lot smoother than say anyone else that just started to work it together.
That's interesting. So what kind of tips would you give to couples then that like from the beginning, right? Like you said, you guys went through your struggles and found like what kind of tips did you guys for yourself work to make sure you guys could work well together?
Yeah, that's a really, really, really good question. We actually get that question often because people are like, whoa, like you guys are always like together, or, you know, it seems like you guys actually like enjoy working with one another. And we're like, we do. I think there's a few things that we've done. I think at the very, very beginning, delegating tasks so that each person feels like they're in charge of like they have their lane, and kind of respecting each other's domain was huge. I think at the very beginning when we just started, it was just all the tasks were just flying all over the place, and we took some time to like sit down. I know we also oh my goodness, it slipped my mind. We also, oh yeah, in regards to the time that we talk about work, we've tried different scenarios, but right now I think it's been really good for us to stop talking about work. I think we said 8:30. So we've been like, we've tested a couple different like time frames, and that was something that we actually reached out to a couple other couples in our community, like in the real estate realm, and asked them like what they do so that we could kind of make it our own. And that was really cool. I think the language that you use, like when you started telling me, okay, I'm in focus mode.
Oh, yeah. No, just I guess what you would call it, not safe words, but just kind of a thing that like lets each other know like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. This is how I am. We've even done like this like thing where we tell each other how much energy we have. So like I'll be like, hey babe, today I'm at a 25 out of like the 100 where it's usually 50-50, right? So I'm like, hey, I'm 25 today, I can't. So then she's like, okay, let me do that 75 to bring it together, or vice versa, just so we know each other where we're at. So if I'm like all kind of sulking around, she doesn't think that I'm ignoring her, or it's because of her. It's because of just, you know, circumstance, work day, a difficult client today or something like that, right? So we're able to kind of use that. And I think one other thing is with your partner, you know, we're partners. It's all like, yay, giddy giddy. But then sometimes you do have to challenge each other, right? You have to challenge each other to grow. So us reminding each other that we're on the same team has been a big thing. Where, say we're in the midst of things, say like I go in, I'm like, well, what if you da, 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 da. She's like, babe, we're on the same team. I'm like, okay.
And vice versa.
Yeah. So just
That's a good idea, actually. I
Yeah.
never thought of that because sometimes it does feel like you start battling with each other. You're
Right.
like, wait, we're going towards the same goal. What happened?
Yeah. So then I'll change how I then say that to be like, we should do this so that, you know, whatever we have to do or whatever. So yeah, I think that's a big thing too, just to know that you have to challenge yourself in the hard times and finding a way to kind of make those, whether those small arguments or those tussles a lot shorter, or just having some kind of any kind of words or kind of phrases to that both you guys understand that, hey, when this is said, like this is what that means. We're gonna calm the atmosphere and, you know, work together. So
That's good. And like that, I think in real estate and relationships, like in businesses, communication, you start realizing like how huge it is. And I think it's like 80% of really everything that needs to be done, you know, because it's like one miscommunication can really mess something up.
So
it's
true.
Yeah.
One thing could like, yeah, we have to be really intentional.
Yeah. So either letting each other know or being failing to let the other person know what's going on too could also hurt, right? Like you said, like I'm sulking, you don't know why I didn't communicate with you, and you think it's because of you or something, or you know. So then now it's kind of it's like awkward. It's awkward in the air, and then so communication is a big.
Yeah, those are all very, very good tips because there's so many like that, so many different also couple dynamics. And so I think it's always great to hear different couples give their experiences. Because it's funny, for example, with me and my husband, we actually can't work together in the same business, which is funny, but we can work together on our own separate businesses together, if that makes sense.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so we actually have completely separate businesses. And for example, like I'll use his business because he's a contractor to do the work for us. And we work really well that way in our own separate businesses. But when we were actually building his business 8 years ago, 9 years ago, I don't even know however long, I actually left the business because I was actually worried that we were going to end our relationship because it was just being such a problem. And then when I really started getting into real estate, I was just like, I need to figure out a way for us to work together because we need to we need to make things happen, right?
Yeah.
And then like that, we ended up finding out that us working in our own businesses but helping each other out was, for some reason, that worked for us. We couldn't work in the same business, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But we can work together in separate businesses together.
I like that because then you both have your own like focus, your own lane.
Yeah, your own lane.
Yeah. And maybe that's what it is. We really separated it out. And more, to be honest, it was my husband didn't like that I did the finances because then he would realize his mistakes and he didn't like it. That's really what it was. He just didn't like me, like, oh man, I like lost money in this job. So I'd be like, hey, did you see this? And he's like, I don't want to know. So like, and now, like, I don't know what he does in his business, and I don't need to know, right? We just need to make sure that everything is going well and he's getting what he needs to get done, right? And so it's like, so we work it like that. So for us, it's like two separate businesses, but we use each other's businesses to move forward, and that works really well for us. Together, don't put us together in the same business because we'll destroy ourselves.
I love that you found your sweet spot. I think from conversations with other couples, because we really wanted to be intentional with this. With conversations from other couples, they often like give up before finding the sweet spot. So I love that you've like figured it out, and now you're kind of moving together.
And that's what it is. It's very much like a trial, right? Like, okay, did this work? No. Did this work? No. And I think it's like more of like I have that mentality of like that. Like I like testing, you know, like, okay, let's try this out. This didn't work. Okay, let's try this out. This didn't work. And it was like that, many years of figuring out like, how can we work together, but not be like you guys are saying, like stepping on each other's toes, you know, or just like pissing each other off. And somehow this worked.
Right.
I love it.
We like to be transparent with the other couples or even singles that want to get their partner in, and being transparent that like, hey, when you see us, it's like, hey, hi, we're making videos, etc. But we have our own stuff too, right? You just have to push past it and find your balance, right? You have your balance, our balance. So it's not easy, but if you get it right, it really can elevate both your working relationship and personal relationship together, right? So
100%. And it's like that, the changes, right? Sorry, did you want to say something?
Oh no, I was just saying shout out to Nancy and Mo.
Nancy and Mo.
Yeah, sorry. Just going. But yeah, sorry.
But Yeah, but like that, like, and that's even what personal development is. It's not even about changing yourself as one person, right? Like, you have to change together to figure out each other, right? And that's like not even in a relationship, as in like two married couples relate, or like, two couples together in a relationship. Like, that's even the same thing in a business sense, right? If you come into a business with partners, everyone needs to know how to figure out how to work with each other to
Yeah.
make things happen. And it's really interesting, actually. I feel like, don't you notice that like business relationships really help you figure out your personal relationships? Like, you take tips from the business, like, we should be doing this in our relationship.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah,
They're transferable.
yeah, whether it's like the roles that we decide to separate is like, hey, at home, okay, you do this
Yeah.
chore, I do that chore, I take up, you know what I mean? Like, it just
Yeah.
helps translate through,
Yeah.
in that way.
Yeah, there's something magical. Like when you can find that sweet spot with your partner, if you do work alongside each other, it is worth pushing through the challenges to find the right pace. But when you do, I feel like you feel unstoppable.
100%. And like that, it's just like, don't give up, persevere, keep on changing, figure out, what it is. Like that, figure out, okay, this didn't work, next one. Because it will. Like if you persevere, you'll figure it out. It will happen. Because it's usually when you stop, that it's just you stopped and, gave up and it's like, well, it's just like it's never gonna happen. It's just more like we didn't look at all the different options available to try to make it work.
Very true.
Yeah, very true.
So going back to before real estate, like what kind of skills? I know, Rovonn, you said some of them, but maybe you might want to expand more on it. But what skills did you have in the past that you really transferred over into real estate?
That's good.
Sorry.
Yeah, I feel like for myself, I think the skills of working with people, like working with all sorts of people, I feel like in regards to different personality types and and teaching abroad, teaching like overseas was such a beautiful opportunity for me to connect with people, learn how to connect with people in various ways. Was super transferable. I think just being able to encourage or my students, like the interactions that I have with my students, to empower them, to encourage them, I've really kind of also translated into wanting to build a network, a family of investors that truly support each other, and rally for each other, and like almost become like a family. But I think just my like people loving nature is something that I've tried to transfer over. How about you?
Yeah, with me, I think being like a nerd that's in school and growing up, just the whole math thing, and also just with running my own business, or a few businesses now, just knowing whether it's like to break down projects, break down your time, managing time, which I'm still working on, but I'm good at like just managing chaos, so that's helped us as well. But I would say, I had something.
Your analytical nature?
Well, analytical nature. Just with breaking down things and just finding what's good to prioritize first, what's to do second and third, just to maximize our time. I'm a big maximized timer. Like if I'm going somewhere,
Oh, I hear you. I'm
what else can I
saying.
do when I'm doing that at the same time? I'm always maximizing my time and my efforts. But I'll say that like just being a entrepreneur already, kind of going into this. Yeah.
And I also feel like where we balance each other, like I'm a big dreamer. Like I'm a big, I'm already like a
You're
year
like 3 years ahead, 5 years ahead.
Yeah, I'm already 3 years ahead in my mind. And Rovonn is very much very practical and very analytical. So it offers me an opportunity to like, oh, have you thought of this, this, and this? I'm like, ooh, no, I haven't. So
Like, I just want my $1 million home. That's what I was thinking about, you know? Well, like, you tell me how we're gonna get there.
Yeah.
Like, I'll make the dreams for us.
Yeah.
Exactly. I get to dream. And he helps to fill in the building blocks for us to get there. I guess just the reality.
Yeah. And she
So
helps.
you're probably more in the now, Rovonn? Like, you're more of like focused in now, you would say? Is that how you're saying? Like,
I think I see what my goal is, and then I kind of focus more on the steps to get there. And then say if I get there, I'm like, oh, like my goal to get to where I am in terms of my video business, based on how much I make per year, how much products I'm doing. I just realized I did that like the year I did like last year, and I'm like, oh wait, I did what I said I was gonna do 5 years ago because I've been focusing on just like the steps getting there, right?
mhm.
So that's kind of how I guess how it would work. And then the thing I forgot to mention before is just being in the media space, obviously, with the importance of social media, because that's what I do with my clients. Like, hey, we're gonna create a video. You can also go on social media to help your branding, help your sales, etc., help your online identity, and kind of putting that importance into our business. We have a whole team that runs our social media and campaigns and email blasts to our investors that we work with. So just kind of having those things in place because it's just knowing the importance of it from the industry I come from. So I'd say that's something that also helped toward what we want to be able to really have a very strong online identity in all social platforms. Also using that to be able to network and just showcase what we're doing. We feel like that's the powerful way to go about it.
That's awesome. And so what kind of skills are you guys like now thinking of having to change to now meet your future goals? Like what kind of what's your transition right now? Like what are you guys looking to change to get to your future goals?
I think right now we've been having a lot of conversations on systems, like really trying to put systems in place so that we can, because I'm 3 years ahead, we can kind of take a step back and be able to be truly passive and spend that time with our family that we desire. So wanting to put, like we're looking at different CRMs and expanding with our team. Like we work with Megan Banks and her creative team, and just wanting to have systems in place that allow us to take a couple steps back. Because like right now we're kind of doing all the things. So I would say creating systems is our big focus.
Big focus. I'll say the same thing, and kind of educating ourselves on the way as well, just on the things that we are, say, hiring for, whether it's for renovations, whether it's for what, how we deal with our mortgage brokers and stuff like that. We want to also know the basics of those industries as well, just so we're able to properly, I guess, judge that as well. It's always good to do that. Like me in my industry, as now I'm at a point where I'm kind of like a director, and when I have a video guy that's working, and then I have a lighting guy and a sound guy, because I know all the basics, I know when they're doing a good job. So me kind of running everything, I know how all this project's gonna finish very well. The result will be very good because I know just by my own knowledge, or at least basic knowledge, that I know everyone's doing a good job in all their paths. So let's say that's something as well. We want to kind of dabble into just educating ourselves in the different ways and not just listen to whatever everyone says. Also just a little bit of stuff, a little bit of numbers and financing with mortgaging, little bit of contracting, etc., just so we know what we're getting.
And
That's awesome.
I think it's also important, very important to us to educate. And I don't know if it's the teacher in me, but we want to be able to provide, like, once we kind of get our systems in place, we're knee-high in education and trying to develop those fundamentals so that we can share that with the people in our community. Because I feel like when we're at these investor events, there's all these like creative minds like thinking the same, but the moment we leave those events, within our own family circles, our community circles, there's holes in the understanding of real estate and investing that we would love to share. Just untapped knowledge. And so yeah, we're determined to kind of put the word out there.
That's awesome. That's great. And that is something that I feel like, I think as you start getting into real estate, or I think also an entrepreneur, like once you get into certain communities, especially the positive ones where everyone's there to uplift each other, and you start realizing actually, I think that to be honest, everyone loves to help others and teach others. And it's usually like getting stuck in the grind or, that you don't realize that until you're kind of in a place where you're like things are good, and then you're like things are good, so why don't I help other people be good with me so we can all have fun together,
Exactly.
That's true. Yeah. Like that.
So what kind of mindset shifts have you guys gone through?
It's really good. I think I feel like we've talked about with Rovonn about like just from where he grew up, like the scarcity mindset, like the mindset that 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 like comes with our culture and our understanding of finances. That was a big like shift because that's just like ingrained in you.
Yeah. Like I said to myself, I'm not getting a credit card. I'm like, I see all these people and they're in debt. I'm like, why? Why am I getting a credit card? If I have the money, I'll just use it. And I spent that way. I was the same that way until maybe when I had to start like, okay, I gotta rent a car, so I have to get like at least a little bit on a credit card, etc. But just coming into the space now, learning on how there's, before it was like, oh, debt's always bad. Like debt is bad. And now kind of learning that there's good debt. You can utilize debt. You can leverage debt to be able to make more money. You get something that's a certain amount of interest that's less than what you're going for something else that gives you more in return. You're making money off that debt that was bad, or you thought before you think it was bad and now it's good. So being able to leverage that's like a mindset shift in terms of just debt.
And how hard was that? Isn't that very hard to like really shift? I know I was just like, you look at the numbers, you're like, this so makes sense. But then your mind is still back in like your parents telling you debt is bad, and you're just like with that struggle of two sides, it's like devil and angel kind of thing going at it. And you're just like, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so just the knowledge, like I just said to myself, I'm like, if we just knew a little bit of it before, like in our middle 20s or something, like when places were like a few $100,000, like, like just, yeah, it would have set up. But we always come back to like, hey, we know it now, we're going to do our thing, and then be able to educate people so that they can also kind of learn that, because when you think about it, when does someone stumble or be able to, it's only from hearing it from someone. There's not much like classes out there, or and like it's not in schools. It's not like, how else can you kind of learn this kind of information until you actually spark that interest? So
like I'm pretty embarrassed that it's not, as a teacher, that it's not in the school curriculum to understand
whether it's just certain financing, let alone real estate, right?
Yeah, like it's pretty embarrassing. That and I think for myself with the mindset shift was that I can, like, so even though I only had that one friend that I knew of that could do it, and I didn't really know her like overly well at that time. So even though I didn't have an example of what that looked like, I didn't see someone doing what I was hoping to do. I didn't see someone that looked like me in that space. I had to like overcome my mind of like telling me, what are you doing? Like, you can't do this. Like, you're crazy. A huge mindset shift was just really believing that I could put one foot in front of the other, and that we're going to make it.
I'll say
100%.
No,
Sorry, you were saying?
I was gonna say, from like when you're saying like from us having, our parents being immigrants, just saying to ourselves like, hey, unless we had great grandpas and great grandmas that were here before that kind of have generational wealth and kind of properties to kind of hand down. What can we do, right? But someone has to start that in your, in your community, in your families. So yeah, so it's something that you have to do yourself to at least get. It's when you think about just the inflation and just what things cost, everything going up. Like if you hold on to your money, you're pretty much losing money if you're just holding on to
It
it.
is. It's crazy, right? And especially that like it's not really talked about enough, at least in like the mainstream where you're just kind of almost the point like don't have anything in the bank accounts, like put it somewhere else, please.
I know
Please,
anywhere
else.
but.
Very true.
So yeah, so that's us just learning that and wanting to teach that to others down the road, and on the way there, people being interested in asking, and we're able to let them know. But yeah, it's important.
And that's just another point that you say that's kind of, it's also great. It's like you guys are leading by example, because I've noticed at least that you can tell someone, for example, like with my husband, like I wanted him to get into real estate with me at the very beginning, but he was very focused, like I need to run my business. I don't like have the time. And like, so he wouldn't really understand, but it was very funny because as I was moving into it and really getting into it, and taking action and doing deals on my own and stuff, he was, he starts seeing like, oh my God, you're changing, you're even like as a person, I'm changing. And, he's seeing like all these deals happening and he's just like, what is going on? I need to be a part of it. And he was like one out because I'm sure like that, like you guys saying with friends and family, because that was also how, people start asking because they're like, okay, you're actually doing things. I need to know,
Sometimes that's
You
what
guys have the same?
yeah, that's why that's how some people are gonna end up moving with you, right? Not just you saying like, hey, come over here. It's like kind of do your thing, and they're like continue to see you go higher and higher, and they're like, wait, I want to be up there too. So
And we were seeing too, like especially in the Black community, we often have to watch and see before we feel comfortable enough or confident enough to jump right in, because
It's like the proof of concept, right? It's like you do it, let me see how it goes. If you fail, at least I didn't have to fail with you. Right? Like it's like a proof of concept. I think that's everywhere. It's just like that looks kind of dangerous. You figure it out and just tell me how to do it.
and even the people too, right? Like all of us, our families, we love you, we love our families, we love our siblings and our relatives, but sometimes we're like, you're really gonna do that? Okay, let me see you do it. Let me see if you are able to do it, and then you're doing it. You're able to do it. Okay, I trust that I can do this with you, and then from then they also come with you on the ride.
Even one of my girlfriends, she had called, like, when we got a property under contract. I had, I'm just recently starting to merge our Russell homes with now feeling comfortable to like, okay, we're going to share it with our personal network. And I shared that we had a property under contract. And my girlfriend messaged me and she's like, I have no idea what this means, but I think it's something awesome. Like, so congratulations. Like, I'm pretty sure that's what I'm supposed to say right now. I thought it was super cute that she was like, I don't know what under contract means. She's like, so do you?
But it seems like a good thing. Like you look happy, so I should be happy for you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and even from the first time you posted, when we closed our multi-unit in New Brunswick in Moncton, you had like 3-4 meetings from people just being interested and saying, hey, you're in this space, you're doing things. We have our website, we have our page, we're constantly posting. We're on a schedule with our posting. Like we're serious in this, and people have that trust in us to work with us because they see that like, hey, these people are really working in it. Let's kind of work with them too.
100%. All great points. And also just something that you're I feel like you guys were alluding to, and I kind of want to bring up more, is that you have these fears that are happening as you're trying to get over your like these shifts and trying to change your mind to understand in different ways. And I'm sure that your mentors really help to like that, like the negative comes in and you have that other person to kind of give you that confidence that, yeah, I read the numbers are right, but you're still scared and you're just like, no, I think I'm probably missing something and that's why it looks good, but it's really not. And then your, mentor or coach kind of comes in and is like, no, you're doing good. Just get it done. And you're like, okay, I'm going to go.
You nailed it.
Yeah, coaches are big. Yeah, we definitely wouldn't be where we are now without just the investment we made for education and learning and just self-improvement and yeah.
I think mindset, I feel like people sleep on mindset. Like people don't give it initially as much credit as it deserves, because it can be, if you don't have the right mindset, it could be quite crippling to move forward. I think even like in some of our coaching calls or coaching workshops or masterminds, at the very beginning, I don't think this now, but at the very beginning, sometimes when like the topic was mindset, I was like, oh, mindset, like let's talk about numbers, let's see some property.
Let's talk about the knowledge. I was the same. Like, I need to know like about the real estate stuff. I'm like, I was the same. Like, I remember one of my mentors was just like, just do it, and I was like, this is nonsense. These people are telling me just do it. I'm doing everything all the time, okay? And then I remember afterwards, I'm like, yeah, just do it. I get it now. I'm like, it's so simple, but I'm like, yeah, just do it. It was like so funny how your mind shifts and then like that. Like for me, personal development is like above everything. And then one of the reasons of this show, right, is just like people need to understand, it's like I just want like everyone to know the importance of mindset and really it's we need to change, to get to where we want to be.
That's why we love the concept of your series, is because it actually is the gateway to like an exponential growth.
100%.
Yeah,
and it's like that, and just like the mentors like that, they show you it, right? Because they like that, like I think everyone goes there, because I believe all of us have that mentality. We're just here for a goal, and usually it's a money goal, right? We need this to pay the bills, or we need this to get this goal, like we need this amount of money for something that we're trying to get in our lives. And then once we either get close to it or like we're doing like our first deal and you see it kind of like flourish and happen, you kind of start realizing like that was more of personal development changes that actually got me to where I am than the actual knowledge,
Right.
Is that how you guys felt when like you transitioned and realized like the mindset was so important?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I would say so. Especially with like the source, also the big source aside from just the experiences, and through coaching is, the big source is books. Like books have really changed, or our mindset has been a big source of our mindset change. All the different books on mindset and all the different ways
Personal
you do things
growth.
and personal growth, that's been a big thing. So
Communication.
if you have books on the shelf that you're not reading or got recommended to you, read.
Brian's gonna keep on talking. Oh, there we go. Okay. I was just saying, I'm gonna keep on talking and see what happens. But I was just saying that, actually, even just talking about, I don't know about you guys, but like the stigma behind personal development books or self-help books, I saw them as very negative, and it was like something is wrong with you if you're reading a book. Whereas like now I'm like my mind, like that completely changed. Did you guys have that kind of stigma about those kind of books too?
I didn't. No, I did grow up thinking, I don't know, for some reason I felt like the real estate self-help books were different than like I remember when I was a teenager, I bought Dr. Phil, like 10 steps to a stronger inner you or something. And I just remember um, feeling like my siblings were like making fun of me for reading like something like that they but when we transition to real estate, I feel like the idea of working on communication or working on our negotiation skills or reading about like leadership, um, I don't know, it just felt different somehow. But I think it's because my mind shift had already begun.
Yeah. Or understanding. Now you're understanding the purpose of why you're learning this because you realize your purpose. So the book was the same in the sense of like it's teaching you how to do things like personal development.
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay. So it was just, I guess, like that transition. And like that, people make fun of you and you think like, oh my God, there's something probably wrong with me, right? Or like people will think, because I remember people would say that and at that, I mean, at that time I wasn't reading books or anything. I'm not really, like to imagine, I hated reading books. And now because of personal development and the power of it, I love reading books now.
That's incredible.
Yeah, from the books we read from the beginning of this year, like Deal No Deal,
Never
the Slight Edge.
Which is your favorite? Oh, the Slight Edge. I love the Slight Edge.
Outside of Slight Edge, just empowering those little things you do, going up to the big thing. Like a lot of us feel like, hey, we gotta do everything cold turkey. We gotta go all in like just on that decision. But like just doing those little things, whether they feel minute, like you're working out, you want to work out more, and it's like just do 5 push-ups. That's it. But you're like, that's it? Like that's not gonna do anything. But then you end up not doing anything anyways, right? So
Yeah.
those little things, and then it becomes natural. Then you start getting to that place where now you're working out every day or every other day, just eating better, etc. So I think the Slight Edge was the biggest thing for me.
That like who not how. I think as someone that like likes to do all the tasks, seeing how your mindset can shift to actually grow a business versus like be in a business was
And I think that's also cultural because I feel like in a lot of cultures, right, it's like don't waste the money, do it yourself. You can do
yeah.
it yourself, and it's always like do it yourself. But then, how do you do it yourself if you're actually wanting to create a business? And also, to be honest, like why not employ people? And people have jobs.
Right.
People have like you're even giving people jobs, so other people are making money. It's like all these shifts are so interesting, right, to happen.
Yeah.
100%.
Sure, big.
And so, last and final question for you guys. You guys can answer. Well, I mean, I'm assuming the personal one, you probably will have like your goals together. But for business and personal, actually, this might be more a Camesha question because she's like the futuristic one.
Already.
But yeah, 5 years from now, what is your guys' plan? Business and personal. I mean, if you want to share both, whichever ones you want to share.
Yeah.
What are your big goals?
Business first?
In terms of business, yeah. In terms of business, I'd say, and it's funny because what our goals business wise, or in terms of like real estate business wise, in the beginning of the year, has like drastically changed half a year later, where we see that we can go. But if we continue on that trajectory, I would say that in 5 years we want to have 100 units or 100 doors.
Awesome.
We want to, start our family and putting those little things in places to have property for our children kind of already kind of there that will start being like paid off for a long time. So by the time they're at a certain age, they have real estate that they're able to own, and just having the freedom to be able to spend time with each other, with our kids, and just with our own, I guess, either jobs or hobbies or things that we're doing. We're able to do that and travel. Just the American dream, the North American dream. Just the time and freedom is the main thing, and whatever will get us there, that's what we're aiming for.
I think I could also see within our business wise that we've reached a point of stability where in 5 years that we've developed those systems that we now can take a step back. I see like Rovonn being able to work on things that he's passionate about. I see both of us having different realms where we're able to like give back to our community. We both we love our church and love like serving and helping at our church and wanting to have that time to be more invested in our church community. I also see us, while we're starting a young family, being able to, just pick up and go and live in Costa Rica for a month, before our children are in like school, like full day school. It's just because I've, lived abroad for so long, there's so much of me that loves seeing the world, like outside Toronto, like there's so much out there to see. So I've loved.
I totally hear you. I'm like a big travel bug too. I love like culture, seeing cultures, like just seeing how different people's mindsets work. Like that's something I've always been interested, actually, surprisingly.
Awesome.
I love it. And I feel like I could also see myself speaking. I don't know where yet, but that's there.
That's there.
Whenever she gets there, and even the things that she's kind of having planned in the background right now, I'm like, you want video production, you want a live stream, etc. Like, I'm gonna do it, and we're gonna make it look all nice. You're gonna have your own keynote speeches on the stage, talking to people that whether it's at a level of just not knowing, and they're there to like just learn about real estate, or if it's at a higher level. So yeah.
That's awesome. And exactly what you guys were saying at the beginning, it's so true. Like you guys are talking about your goals right now, but you'll probably be like, it'll be funny to watch this, in the future. And you're going to be like, wow, we accomplished that like in this amount of time. And it was like, now our goal was this actually, like, or this is what we accomplished within the 5 years, because it's like, it's very interesting how that works where we just start, we can easily change, because we're, everyone's like working towards their goals and you just see the ramp, right? You start realizing like how much easier it starts getting as long as you're focused and interested in what you do.
You nailed it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for coming on. It was so much fun to chat with you guys. If you guys really enjoy what Camesha and Rovonn, sorry, what is it?
Rovonn, yeah. Rovonn.
Okay, Rovonn, sorry. So sorry. Follow them because they're doing so many great things. And if you guys love these shows that we have, like follow me and thank you so much, guys, for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Yes.
We always have a blast connecting. So thank
It
you.
was really good and just between us, like it wasn't draining. It was talking to someone for an hour, just back and forth on the screen like this. I'm pumped. It was great.
Awesome. I'm glad you liked it, and I feel the same way actually. This was energizing. I feel like it's a little bit of Camesha though. She even knows how to bring the energy over here, Awesome. Thanks so much. I loved it. Thank you, everyone. And we hope to see you on the next episode. Bye, everyone. Bye, guys. And then, of course, I'm always struggling to get off. Sorry, guys. 20 years later, over here. Come on. There we go.